Archangel Michael says, 3 minutes remain, and someone you love who now rests in heaven is reaching out with urgency, asking you to open your heart, to pause your rushing thoughts, and to receive this gentle message wrapped in love, because something sacred is being placed in your spirit right now. There are moments, quiet ones, when the world seems to pause for a breath, and in that stillness, heaven draws close. It's not always thunder or miracles that carry the voice of God, but rather a whisper that touches the deepest part of your soul, the part that still remembers what it feels like to be held by a love that never changes, never leaves, and never forgets. Right now, in this very moment, heaven has reached toward you, not to startle you, not to shake your world, but to gently lift your heart and remind you that you are not alone, not abandoned, not forgotten in your pain or confusion. Type 1414 if you believe in divine protection. A person who loved you deeply and who now walks the golden streets of eternity has asked for this message to reach you. Though their voice is no longer one you can hear with your ears, their presence is closer than breath, and their love has not lessened. From beyond the veil of this life, they still carry you in their prayers, and today, they asked for heaven's light to fall gently upon your life once more. They have seen your quiet tears, your unspoken battles, and the nights when you whispered to the sky and hoped someone, anyone, was listening. There is a soft ache that lives in the hearts of those who have loved deeply and lost. That ache is the echo of a bond not broken by time, but held in eternity by the one who created both time and love. In the presence of God, there is no forgetting, no losing, and no parting that will not one day be restored. The person you miss is with him, radiant in peace, watching you with a heart full of longing for your healing, and today they reached out, not to remind you of sorrow, but to remind you of the hope that still beats quietly under your grief. Like this video and subscribe to this channel if you want God's blessings in your life. Jesus Christ, who walked among the hurting and lifted the broken with his own scarred hands, still walks among us in spirit, holding those who can barely hold on. He sees the weight you've been carrying, the heaviness you don't always talk about, and the silent prayers that rise like fragile candles in the night. You haven't been forgotten, and your tears have not been wasted. Each one has been caught, remembered, and treasured by the one who wept at the tomb of his friend and still chose resurrection. What if you could unlock a secret brain wave that top scientists discovered inside the hippocampus, the very switch that signals wealth and abundance? Hidden from the public for decades, this breakthrough can rewire your mind to attract prosperity faster than you imagined. Picture the stress of bills replaced with financial freedom and new opportunities. Every delay is a missed blessing, and those who act now are already walking into the wealth you deserve. Step forward before the door closes. Click the link in the video description and comments below to activate this ancient money wave and step into abundance today. There is something sacred happening now, something you can't always see, but it is there. You are being drawn close, wrapped in an unseen embrace, not by fear, but by the quiet, enduring love of God who has never walked away from you. There is healing in the presence of Jesus, and though the world often moves too fast to notice, heaven moves slowly, tenderly, always at the speed of love. And right now, that love is filling the room where you sit, whispering over your weariness, reminding your soul that the story isn't over. Type 1111 if you agree. The person who loved you, the one who now walks with angels, has seen from that place of perfect clarity that your life still holds beauty, still holds purpose, and still holds 1,000 moments waiting to be touched by grace. They see what you cannot see yet, that your best days are not behind you, but ahead, because you walk hand in hand with the one who defeated death and walks with you still. Their message is simple, but it is holy: keep going, don't give up, and let love carry you where strength has failed. Let your heart rest in this truth: God has never left you, not for a single breath, not even when you were certain you had wandered too far. His mercy does not run out, and His love is not something you earn or lose. It is something you were created in, something you belong to, something that remains when everything else falls away. The presence you long for is not far, it is near, within reach, waiting only for you to say yes, to open your heart again, to trust, even if it's just a little. This is not a message of warning, not a message of fear, but a message of quiet urgency from heaven. Your life is sacred, your soul is known, and your pain has not been ignored. Let go of what cannot heal you, and let the gentle hands of Jesus touch the places you have hidden from the world. Healing is not always loud. Sometimes it begins in the quiet choice to believe that love has not abandoned you, and that God, even now, is rebuilding you from the inside out. Sometimes, we carry grief so deeply tucked within us that we begin to live as though joy is something from another time, something that belonged to a version of life that can never return. But even when your heart feels tired, and the ache feels too familiar, God has never stopped moving toward you. He has never stopped seeing you exactly where you are. He understands the sorrow that lingers beneath your laughter and the quiet longing that surfaces even in your strongest moments. The one you loved and lost, whose smile now rests in heaven's light, is not gone from your story. Though their hands no longer reach for yours and their voice no longer fills the room, their love has not been erased. It has simply been woven into the eternal fabric of God's design, where no true love is ever lost, only transformed. From that holy place beyond time, they have asked that this message reach you, not to awaken more sadness, but to open your heart once again to the love you still carry and the healing that God still longs to pour into every broken space. The love of Jesus does not come and go like seasons or moods. It does not falter when you feel weak, and it does not pull away when you are filled with questions or pain. His love is constant, like a quiet river that never stops flowing, even when you are too weary to step into it. And right now, that love is surrounding you, gently reminding you that you are more than your wounds, more than your worries, and more than the heaviness you've been holding. In the stillness of this moment, heaven is close. Close enough to see the dreams you've laid down and the prayers you were too tired to finish. Close enough to whisper into your soul that it is okay to rest, okay to cry, and okay to hope again. There is no shame in your struggle, no judgment in your journey. The heart of God is not distant or cold, it is tender and full of mercy, always ready to meet you exactly where you are. Type Amen if you believe. You do not need to pretend you're okay. God is not waiting for you to be stronger or more faithful or more cheerful. He is waiting simply for you to be honest, to come to Him as you are, with all that aches, all that hurts, and all that still hopes. Jesus never turns away from the weary, the broken-hearted, or the lost. In fact, those are the very ones He draws closest to, wrapping them in compassion, lifting their burden, and walking beside them until they find peace again. The person who loved you in this life and now lives in the light of heaven sees the bigger picture that you cannot yet see. They know how deeply you loved, and how bravely you have carried on, and they want nothing more than for you to feel that same peace they now rest in. They don't want your days to be marked by sorrow, but by love, by the quiet strength that comes from knowing you are still deeply held in God's arms, still protected, still chosen, and still called toward a life that is rich in purpose and filled with gentle beauty. Your story is not over. Your light has not dimmed. Even in the silence of your grief, heaven has been speaking. Even in your most lost moments, you were never alone. God has walked with you through it all, and He continues to hold you in ways that are quiet but real, unseen but deeply felt. You don't have to earn His closeness, it is already yours. All you have to do is breathe and let your soul lean into that truth. This is the message heaven wants you to receive today. A sacred invitation to believe that love has not abandoned you, and that joy is not gone for good. The road ahead may not be easy, but you won't walk it alone. Jesus will be with you in every step, in every tear, in every prayer that rises from your heart. And the one you love is cheering you on from heaven's side, urging you to live, to breathe, to love again, and to never forget how cherished you truly are. When life leaves you feeling hollow, when your soul aches with a weight too deep for words, it can seem as though the light has gone out. You may carry the memory of someone you loved more than words could ever express, and their absence feels like a space inside you that nothing can fill. But in the holy stillness of heaven, that person is alive in perfect peace, surrounded by beauty beyond description, held in the presence of the one who gave them life, and they remember you, they think of you, and they long for you to feel the warmth of God's comfort, not just someday, but here and now. A mysterious 9-word prayer once sealed inside a private government vault is now resurfacing, and people everywhere are seeing financial breakthroughs overnight. Experts say it triggers a long silent part of the human brain responsible for abundance and wealth attraction. It takes less than 30 seconds to repeat, yet it's turning struggle into prosperity. Thousands are reporting cleared loans, sudden cash inflows, and unexpected blessings. Click the link in the description and comments before this secret disappears again. Heaven has not closed its doors to your pain. On the contrary, it has opened its arms wide to receive every tear you've cried in silence and every moment you felt like giving up. The person you miss so deeply has seen your pain, and with the purity of love that only eternity can carry, they have asked that your heart be wrapped in hope again, not with force, but with kindness, with softness, with grace that asks nothing of you but to simply receive. In the presence of Jesus, nothing is ever truly lost. Every bit of love you've given still lives. Every prayer whispered in fear or sorrow has been heard, remembered, and cherished by the God who holds all things together. He sees how hard it has been for you, how quietly you've endured what others may not even know about, and He has never turned His eyes from you. There is no storm in your life that has hidden you from His gaze, no grief that has distanced you from His heart. Type 1818 to claim miracles. The comfort that Jesus offers is not cold or distant. It is the kind that sits beside you when you have no words. It is the strength that comes when you are too tired to ask for help. It is the peace that settles over you like a soft blanket when you are afraid. And right now, that comfort is here. Not because you did something to deserve it, but because you are His, and He will never stop reaching for you. The person who once walked beside you, whose laughter and love you still remember so clearly, now walks in light you can't yet see, but they are not far. They are closer than you know, woven into every gentle memory, every quiet moment when you feel their presence, every time your heart suddenly recalls something only the two of you shared. That is not your imagination, that is love, still living, still speaking, still finding ways to reach you through the silence. You may have days when the world feels like too much, when it seems as though joy is something that belongs to other people. But even then, even in your most fragile state, God is not disappointed in you. He does not expect you to be strong all the time. He is not asking you to hold it together. He is simply asking you to come, as you are, with the pieces you've been carrying, and let Him carry you. The love of God does not disappear in the face of sorrow. It does not shrink in your pain. It remains steady, patient, and full of compassion, waiting with open arms for the moment your heart says yes to it again. And when you do, even just a little, you'll find that healing doesn't have to be fast or loud, it can come slowly, like the sunrise, like a soft breeze, like the first quiet laugh after days of tears. The one you miss is not lost to you forever. In God's hands, nothing truly good is ever gone. And as they rest in the beauty of heaven, they are surrounded by the love that created them, the same love that created you, the same love that is with you still. They know what you have walked through, and they want nothing more than for you to live fully, to smile again, to find beauty even in the small things, and to know without question that you are still deeply loved, deeply wanted, and never alone. So let this moment be a turning point, not because something dramatic has happened, but because love has touched your heart again. Let it be the beginning of a gentler chapter, where you don't have to fight so hard to feel worthy or seen. You already are. You always have been. And the God who breathed life into you is not finished writing your story. There is something holy about remembering, especially when the person you remember once filled your days with warmth and familiarity. The love you shared did not vanish when they stepped into eternity. It did not dissolve or fade, it grew brighter in the presence of God, and from that place of peace, they are reaching out, not with urgency that burdens, but with a tender longing that you would know how close they still are, and how close God has always been. The moments you shared, the laughter, the quiet conversations, the times you felt completely understood, those were never ordinary. They were pieces of heaven given to you for a time, glimpses of the kind of love that can only come from God. And even though the space they once filled now feels like a silence too loud to bear, that love has not ended. It has only changed form. It now flows from a place of light that can't be seen with the eyes but is still felt in the deepest part of your soul. Type 999 if you trust Jesus. God never meant for us to carry grief alone. He never created us to walk through this life feeling forgotten or invisible. Every part of your journey, including the pain, the longing, the quiet nights when you felt empty, has been seen by Him. He knows the hidden places in your heart that even you have not touched in a long time, and still, He draws near, not with demands, but with patience, with compassion, with hands always open. The person who now lives in heaven's peace has asked that your heart be reminded of this love, not because they need you to move on, but because they want you to move forward with hope. They want you to live in such a way that honors the love you shared, not by holding on to pain, but by opening your heart again to the beauty still waiting to be found in this life. They want you to feel joy again, to breathe without heaviness, to smile without guilt, and to rest in the quiet certainty that they are safe, that you are loved, and that everything broken will one day be whole again. Jesus understands every ache in your soul, not from a distance, but from a place of deep compassion. He knows what it means to be human, to lose, to grieve, to feel abandoned. And yet, He also knows what it means to rise, to restore, to breathe life into places where hope had long been buried. His love for you is not based on how strong you are or how perfect your faith is. It is a love that simply exists because you are His. Even when you feel like you've failed, even when your prayers feel empty, God is not keeping count. He is not measuring your worth by your words or your strength. He is simply waiting for your heart to rest in His again, even if it's just for a moment. And when you do, He will meet you with grace, not because you've earned it, but because that's what love does. There is no time limit on healing. There is no deadline for when you should be okay again. The one you miss would never ask that of you, and neither would God. But there is a quiet invitation being offered now, to open your heart, just a little, to the possibility that peace can still find you. That love, true love, never leaves. And that even now, something sacred is unfolding within you. The memories you carry are not meant to weigh you down, but to remind you of the depth of your capacity to love. And if you could love that deeply once, you can still love again, not in the same way, but in a way that honors what was, while making space for what will be. Your life is not over. Your light is not gone. There is more waiting for you, and the person who once walked beside you now watches over you, praying that you'll allow joy to return, even if it starts small. So let your heart rest. Let it breathe. Let it believe, even in the smallest way, that love is still present, still powerful, still healing. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. Heaven is not far. And even now, as you read these words, you are being held by a love that never ends. Buried deep in forgotten archives, a 9-word phrase once hidden from the public is now transforming ordinary lives. Neuroscientists call it a wealth frequency activator, because it awakens a part of the brain that naturally draws prosperity. It takes just seconds to speak, but the change can last a lifetime. People are waking up debt-free and financially secure. The page could vanish at any moment. Click the link before it's gone for good. Life after loss can feel like learning how to breathe again in a world that no longer looks the same. The days go on, but they feel different. Time moves, but sometimes your heart stays still, caught in memories that wrap around you like an old blanket, comforting but heavy. In those moments when you wonder how to keep going, when the ache feels too deep for words, you are not walking alone. God is there, not in the distance, not in the shadows, but beside you, quietly walking with you through every step you don't think you can take. Type 2323 if you trust in God. The love you shared was not ordinary, it was a gift from God, a sacred bond that no distance can break. That love did not end when breath left their body. It did not stop when the goodbyes were whispered through tears. It has only grown more eternal, rooted now in a place that holds no sorrow, no pain, no endings. And from that place, the one you miss so deeply sees you still, prays for you still, loves you still. Their heart is full of peace, and their greatest wish is for your heart to know that same peace again. God never promised life without pain, but He promised presence. He promised that in the middle of your brokenness, He would be near. And true to that promise, He has never left you. Through the hardest nights, through the longest days, through the silent prayers and the aching questions, He has been holding you, waiting not for perfection, but for the simple moment when your spirit leans back into His love. Jesus is not distant from your grief. He has felt it. He has walked through it. He has stood at the edge of a grave and wept, not because He didn't know resurrection was coming, but because He loved deeply, just as you did. That same Jesus is with you now. Not waiting for you to fix yourself, not asking you to pretend you're okay, but inviting you to rest in the arms of a love that holds even your most fragile pieces. There is healing here, not in rushing forward, not in forgetting, but in remembering that you are still held, still seen, still deeply loved. The person in heaven who once held your hand on earth now surrounds you in spirit, and their love for you has not dimmed. If anything, it has only grown brighter, because it now reflects the perfect love of God, unfiltered by pain or fear. You may not hear their voice, but you feel their presence when you close your eyes and your heart goes quiet. You sense them in the small moments, the unexpected feelings, the sudden warmth that comes when you think of them. Those are not accidents. Those are reminders. That love still lingers. That heaven is not far. That God is still near. You are allowed to miss them and still move forward. You are allowed to cry and still smile. You are allowed to grieve and still hope. Nothing about your sorrow makes you weak. Nothing about your journey makes you unworthy. You are simply human, and God understands every part of what you carry. And more than understanding it, He carries it with you. So today, let your heart breathe. Let it receive. Let it believe, just for a moment, that peace is possible again. That joy is not gone forever. That the person you love has not been lost to time, but lovingly placed in God's keeping, where one day, you will be reunited in a way that holds no endings. But until that day, you are still here, still breathing, still called to live a life touched by the goodness of God. There is more beauty ahead. There is more purpose in your days. And there is more love for you to give and receive, even in this life. Heaven is not done with your story. Neither is God. And this message, this sacred whisper from beyond what you can see, is only the beginning of what your heart will come to understand more fully as you allow grace to settle into every corner of your soul. Type 555 to receive miracles. There are places in your heart that only God can reach, places shaped by love and loss, by laughter remembered and faces longed for. The person who once filled your life with warmth now walks in a light too bright for human eyes, but their presence is not erased from your world. Their love is still alive, still woven into every fiber of who you are, and it continues to speak softly through memories that refuse to fade, through the way you love others, and through the strength you didn't know you had until you needed it most. You don't have to understand everything to receive this message. You don't need to know why things happened the way they did, or why some prayers felt unanswered. What you need to know, what heaven wants you to feel right now, is that you have never been alone, not even for a breath. Every moment you thought no one saw, every quiet tear you tried to hide, every time your heart reached out in the dark hoping for some kind of sign, God was already there, already answering in ways deeper than you could see. The pain you've carried has not made you weaker, it has only deepened your compassion, widened your understanding, and softened your heart in the most sacred way. Even in your grief, you have loved. Even in your doubt, you have hoped. And that is holy. That is strength. That is the kind of beauty that moves heaven. The one who now lives with God is proud of you, not for pretending to be okay, but for holding on when everything in you wanted to let go. They know your heart better than most, and from where they are, they no longer see you through the lens of time, but through the lens of eternity. They see the love that shaped your bond, and they see how God has continued to hold that love in His hands. Nothing that mattered has been lost. Nothing that was real has been forgotten. You are not being asked to let go of that love. You are being asked to carry it in a new way, gently, slowly, faithfully, until the day comes when time will no longer stand between you. Until then, there is still beauty to be found. There are still people who need the warmth you carry. There are still prayers only you can pray, still kindnesses only you can give, still quiet moments of joy waiting to surprise you when you least expect them. What if a simple 7-minute sound frequency could awaken a forgotten brain signal designed to pull wealth toward you like a magnet? Backed by shocking CIA files and neuroscience, this discovery is now changing lives everywhere. Think of debts melting away, promotions arriving, and abundance flowing freely. This is the one moment that can rewrite your future, but only if you claim it now, because hesitation will only keep you chained to the same struggles. Click the link in video description and comments below to experience the hidden wealth wave and let your financial destiny shift in your favor today. God is not in a hurry with your healing. He is not impatient with your pain. He sits with you, just as you are, offering nothing but love, patience, and presence. There are no demands in His voice, no conditions on His comfort. Only open arms. Only deep peace. Only the promise that He will not leave you now, or ever. You are not a burden to Him. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not forgotten in a sea of others. You are His. Completely, eternally, and fully His. And from that place in heaven where your loved one now lives, they are watching with a heart full of hope, wishing for your days to be lighter, for your burdens to be fewer, and for your spirit to feel once again the joy of simply being alive. They want you to know that your journey still matters, that your story is still being written, and that God has not finished showing you the wonders of His love. Let this message remind you that heaven is not silent. It has been speaking all along, in the quiet comfort of a friend's words, in the unexpected warmth of sunlight on your face, in the strength that came when you thought you had none left. These are not coincidences. These are love letters from God. These are quiet echoes from the one you miss, reminding you that life still holds goodness, still holds purpose, still holds moments worth embracing. Type yes to affirm. You don't have to rush. You don't have to pretend. You only need to keep your heart open, even if it opens slowly. Even if all you can offer is a whisper of faith, that's enough. God will meet you there. Love will meet you there. And healing, quiet and steady, will find its way into your soul. There is something sacred in the way you've carried on, even when your heart felt too heavy to lift. The one you loved, whose absence still echoes through the corners of your days, sees every step you've taken since. From their place in heaven, they are no longer touched by pain or time, but they have not forgotten what it means to love you. That love still flows toward you, clear and strong, unblocked by the veil that separates the earthly from the eternal. You don't have to do anything to earn that connection. You don't have to chase after signs or beg heaven to hear you. The bond remains because it was built on real love, love that was given, received, and shared in ways that shaped your very soul. That kind of love is not undone by death. In God's eyes, it is preserved, made whole, and held close forever. And so, here you are, still standing, still breathing, still finding your way through the days that sometimes feel too quiet. God sees the way you hold their memory with such tenderness, how you carry their love like a soft light in your heart. He does not rush you through your grief or scold you for the moments when tears return. Instead, he simply draws near, offering his presence as shelter and his love as rest. The one in heaven who loved you so dearly has seen your silent prayers, your sleepless nights, the way you sometimes smile through the ache because you don't want to burden others. They have watched as you continued, even when your strength faltered. And from that place of unshakable peace, they are asking one thing, that you begin to let hope return, not because it replaces what you lost, but because it honors it. God never asks you to forget. In fact, He cherishes what you remember. Every shared moment, every kindness, every whispered goodbye, they are all known to Him, treasured by Him, and held in His heart as carefully as they are in yours. The love you gave has not been wasted. It has been transformed into something eternal. Even now, the arms of Jesus remain open to you, not just for comfort, but for renewal. He knows you've been tired. He knows the weight you've carried without saying a word. He understands the questions you've asked in the dark, and the longing that never seems to quiet. And still, He calls you beloved. Still, He says, "Come to me." Not when you have it all figured out, not when your grief is gone, but now, just as you are. The road ahead may still hold sorrow. There may be more quiet moments that catch you off guard. But you are not walking it alone. The same hands that created the stars now carry your pain with tenderness. The same voice that calmed the storm now speaks peace over your soul. And the same love that brought Jesus to the cross now surrounds you with mercy, moment by moment. Type 777 if you walk by faith. Let today be a small turning point, not a loud one, not one that demands anything from you, but a gentle opening. A soft place in your spirit where hope can breathe again. The person you loved would not want you to live in the shadow of loss forever. They would want you to feel the sunlight again, to laugh without guilt, to believe that joy can still grow in unexpected places. God is not done with your story. Heaven is still speaking. The love that once held your hand now holds your heart, quietly, eternally. You do not have to rush your healing. You only need to keep your heart open enough to receive it. Even if you still ache, even if you still cry, you are moving forward, not away from love, but deeper into it. Every step you take is seen. Every breath you manage to draw when your chest feels tight with missing them is honored. And every time you choose to trust that God is still here, still good, still loving, you bring light into a world that so desperately needs it. Sometimes love leaves behind a silence so heavy, it feels like you're walking through your days in slow motion. You smile, you speak, you show up, but inside, there's a space no one else can fill. That space was shaped by a bond that was pure, real, and made with the kind of love that leaves a lasting imprint on your soul. And though it may feel like life expects you to keep moving as if nothing happened, heaven does not expect that. God does not ask that of you. Instead, He invites you into something quieter, something deeper. Not to forget, not to erase the memories or silence your sorrow, but to find Him in the middle of it all. To discover that even in your grief, you are being gently remade by love. The love you gave. The love you received. The love that God continues to offer without end. The person you love, who now walks among angels, sees your every moment. Not just the ones when you're strong, but the ones when you're unsure, when your faith feels fragile, when you quietly ask God if you'll ever feel whole again. They are not far. They're not just a memory. They're a soul alive in glory, held fully in God's embrace, sending love to you with every beat of eternity. They are at peace, and more than anything, they long for your peace too. What if the missing piece to financial success wasn't luck, but a hidden frequency inside your brain waiting to be switched on? Once activated, this ancient signal unleashes waves of prosperity, opening doors to opportunities you never thought possible. From sudden windfalls to long-awaited breakthroughs, it's transforming lives daily. Want to see how? Click the link in the video description and comments below to tap into the money magnet brain wave and begin your journey today. Others are already awakening this hidden signal and watching their lives transform. Do not be the one left behind while abundance passes you by. You are not expected to be perfect in your healing. You are not failing if you still cry, still miss them, still wonder how to move forward without that familiar voice, that familiar presence. Healing doesn't mean forgetting. It doesn't mean replacing. It means carrying love forward into a life that is still unfolding, still meaningful, still blessed with moments where heaven touches earth. God's heart breaks with yours. He's not just watching from a distance, He is near, closer than the pain, closer than the memories. He is walking you through the night seasons, not rushing you, not judging you, but simply loving you through every silent ache. The Jesus who wept for a friend is the same Jesus who now weeps with you and offers the kind of peace that doesn't depend on having all the answers. Sometimes that peace arrives like a breath you didn't expect to find. Sometimes it comes in the smallest moments, in the sound of birds in the morning, in a scent that stirs a memory, in the comfort of a familiar prayer whispered half asleep. These are the gifts of God, sent to remind you that even now, beauty remains. Type 333 to welcome blessings. The one in heaven who still loves you sees your life unfolding with a hope you may not yet see. From that place of truth and light, they want you to know that your story is not over, that your journey still matters, and that your heart, though scarred, is still capable of feeling joy again. They want you to keep going, not out of obligation, but because you still have something sacred to live for. You may not always feel strong, but that's never been what God needed from you. What He desires most is your honesty, your willingness to let Him meet you in the raw places, and your openness to believe that light can find you again. Even the smallest flicker of hope is enough for Him to begin something new inside you. There will be days ahead where the ache will soften, where laughter will come more easily, where the heaviness lifts just a little. And when those moments arrive, you are not betraying your love for the one you lost, you are honoring it by living, by loving, by continuing to grow even through the pain. Heaven is not silent. It is speaking still. Through your memories. Through the people who remain. Through the quiet whispers of God's Spirit as He tells you, once again, that you are not forgotten and never will be. You are not walking this path alone. The one who made you is walking with you, and the one who loved you is never far from your soul. There is a tenderness in grief that most people never speak of, the way it sharpens your senses, softens your heart, and makes you aware of how precious each moment truly is. The loss you carry has changed you, not into someone broken, but someone whose soul now sees more clearly the things that really matter: kindness, faithfulness, love that doesn't demand, and the comfort that comes from knowing God has never once let go of your hand. The person you loved is not gone from your story. Their journey simply continued into a place your eyes cannot yet see, but your spirit still recognizes. From that place, they are safe, whole, and full of joy that can never be touched by sorrow. And still, their heart reaches for yours, not in grief, but in love. A love that has been made perfect in God's presence, and a love that now prays you will feel peace again, not someday far off, but even now, in these quiet moments when the world fades and your spirit listens. You have walked through so much. There have been days when even getting out of bed felt like a small victory. Nights when your soul whispered prayers through tears and silence, wondering if anyone heard. But heaven heard. God heard. And your loved one, now part of the great cloud of witnesses, has never stopped sending love through the veil, hoping it reaches your heart like sunlight through the branches, quiet, but real. You may think that your faith needs to be strong and unwavering, but that's not what God is asking from you. He doesn't need your perfection, He desires your presence. He wants your heart just as it is, tired, aching, confused, or even numb. There's no shame in your sorrow. Jesus, who came not to judge but to heal, understands it fully. He knows the pain of goodbye. He knows the ache of separation. And still, He speaks peace over you, not to silence your feelings, but to walk with you through them. The person you miss would never want you to live in sorrow's shadow. They know, more than anyone, that the days ahead can still hold goodness. They know the healing that awaits, the laughter that will return, and the gentle beauty that will come again, piece by piece, until your heart remembers how to rest without guilt and how to hope without fear. Type 1212 if you believe God is guiding you. Even now, God is sowing quiet seeds of restoration within you. He is not rushing you, not pushing you to move on, but simply inviting you to let His love carry you, especially in the moments you feel you can't carry yourself. And it's in those very moments, when you feel the most fragile, that heaven leans closest. Not with loud answers, but with soft reminders. You are not alone, you are still loved, and you are still part of a story that is being shaped with care. Every smile you give, every gentle act of kindness, every moment you choose to continue even when it hurts, all of it is seen. All of it matters. Your loved one sees it, and God honors it. Nothing you do in love is ever wasted. It is all gathered up, held in eternity, and turned into light that continues to move through the world, even when you don't see it. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need to feel okay all the time. Healing is not a straight path. It is slow and sacred, and it bends with the rhythms of your heart. But through every bend, God walks with you. And the one you miss walks beside you in a way that's quiet but sure, never truly gone, only changed, only waiting. Let today be a breath of relief for your soul. Let it remind you that you are not forgotten in your grief, not overlooked in your pain. You are cherished. You are seen. And the love you have given and received will never die, it will only grow deeper, truer, and more eternal with time. You may not always feel it, but right now, in this very moment, something sacred is happening inside your soul. The one you love, who now stands in the light of God's presence, has seen every moment you thought went unnoticed. They have seen the way you've continued on, not because it was easy, but because love still lives inside you, and somehow, even when you didn't think you could, you kept moving, even if your steps were small and quiet. That matters. It matters more than you know. The world may try to rush you past your grief, may try to make you feel like you should be better by now, but heaven does not work that way. God's pace is never hurried. His healing is never forced. And the love of the one you lost does not grow distant with time, it grows deeper, clearer, more eternal. They are with God now, yes, but also still with you in a way that defies time and space. You carry them not just in memory, but in your very spirit, where love continues to breathe. You were never meant to carry this pain alone. God knew that from the beginning. That's why He never leaves, not for a second, even when you can't feel Him. And it's why the arms of Jesus still remain open for you, even when all you can do is sit in silence and whisper, "I don't know how to keep going." You don't have to know. You only have to rest. He will do the carrying when your strength runs out. Type 888 to open doors of abundance. The one who loved you, the one you still feel in moments when everything goes quiet, has not been erased from your life. They have been gathered into something more eternal, more beautiful than your heart can imagine. And even now, they are asking you, through love, through God's grace, to allow yourself to keep living, not in guilt, not in fear, but in quiet trust that you are not walking this life alone. You may not see it yet, but healing has already begun. Not because everything is fixed, not because the pain is gone, but because your heart, fragile as it may be, still beats with love. Still hopes. Still reaches for meaning. That is where healing starts, not in perfection, but in the willingness to keep feeling, to keep hoping, to keep loving despite it all. You are not meant to live in sorrow forever. There will come a day when the weight lifts just enough for you to breathe more deeply. When the memories bring more warmth than ache. When your laughter comes more easily, and the world looks a little more like something you want to step into again. And when that day comes, you'll feel their smile in your spirit, and you'll know they are proud, not because you moved on, but because you chose to carry love forward. That's what this life is still about. Carrying love. Living with open hands. Trusting that even in the hard and heavy days, God is still writing a story that ends in joy. He does not leave things broken. He does not let grief be the final word. His nature is always redemption, always resurrection, always love that wraps around you without asking anything in return. You are not broken beyond repair. You are not forgotten. You are not living some story of loss with no hope. You are being gently, patiently, lovingly restored. And the person you loved is cheering you on from a place where light never dims and peace never ends. They are whole, and they want wholeness for you, too. So let yourself rest in that. Let yourself believe that it's okay to feel joy again. That it's okay to dream. That your life still holds purpose. You have not been left behind, you are still being led forward, hand in hand with God, step by quiet step. There are days when the ache returns like it never left, when the silence of loss speaks louder than any noise around you. It is not weakness to feel this way. It is the sign of a heart that has loved deeply, and love like that leaves a lasting echo when someone steps into eternity. That echo isn't here to hurt you, it is a reminder that your love was real, that your bond was true, and that nothing good you shared has been forgotten. Heaven remembers. And more than that, God holds it all. Every moment, every word, every tear, every joy. Nothing you experienced with them was small in His eyes. Love is never wasted. And when it is rooted in God, it becomes eternal. What you had still exists, now safe in a place where pain cannot reach, and where the soul you miss has been made whole, beautiful, and free. God does not expect you to forget. He simply invites you to breathe again, to trust that even in your sorrow, something sacred is still unfolding. The love you gave is still moving, still living, still shaping your life. And as you hold those memories close, they are slowly being transformed from pain into peace. It will not happen all at once. But it will happen, because God never leaves anything unfinished, and He is gently remaking your heart in quiet, holy ways. They tried to hide this ancient 9-word prayer for decades, but it's finally been exposed, and those who speak it are seeing money flow into their lives in miraculous ways. Scientists reveal it awakens a neural pathway tied to abundance, joy, and opportunity. It's short, powerful, and life-altering. Thousands are already experiencing relief from debt and sudden wealth. Don't wait, click the link in the description and comments before it's removed forever. Type 1010 if you trust in God's timing. The one who loved you so well is still near, not in the way they once were, but in a way that is woven into your thoughts, your spirit, your dreams. There are moments when you feel them close, and those moments are real. God allows those glimpses, those feelings, not to confuse you or stir sorrow, but to remind you that you are still connected, still known, still loved across the thin veil that separates earth from heaven. You are allowed to miss them. You are allowed to weep. But you are also allowed to laugh, to hope, to dream again. Their greatest wish now is not for you to remain in sorrow, but to begin to feel alive again, not out of guilt or obligation, but because your life still has purpose, and your story is not done. Jesus walks with you in all of this. He doesn't need you to explain your feelings, and He doesn't expect you to have all the answers. He simply asks you to let Him near, even in your sadness. His love is patient. It won't rush you. It won't pressure you. It will just stay, day after day, moment after moment, offering peace that doesn't rely on understanding and healing that doesn't need words. You are not forgotten in your grief. You are not unseen in your quietest moments. Heaven watches with tenderness. God walks beside you with mercy. And the one who now rests in eternal joy smiles when they see you take even the smallest step forward. Your strength is not measured by how quickly you move on, but by how gently you allow yourself to heal. And healing does not mean you are leaving them behind, it means you are learning how to carry their love in a new way, a lighter way, one that lives alongside joy instead of being weighed down by sorrow. One day, the memories will bring more warmth than pain. One day, you will look back and realize how far God has brought you, how deeply He has held you, and how quietly He has restored the broken pieces of your spirit. But even now, in this moment, you are not without hope. You are not walking in darkness. You are walking in a light that sometimes feels soft, but never goes out. Let this moment remind you that nothing is lost in God's hands. Your love, your tears, your questions, your prayers, they are all gathered, all held, all answered in the kind of love that never changes. The love of the one you miss still surrounds you. The peace of heaven still watches over you. And the heart of God still beats with tenderness for you, exactly as you are, exactly where you are. There are moments in grief that no one sees. The ones where your eyes stay dry, but your heart quietly aches. The ones where you smile for others, though inside your soul feels hollow. These are not signs of weakness. These are pieces of your love stretching across time, reaching for someone who is no longer here the way they once were. And that reaching, that ache, is understood fully by heaven. It is not dismissed, not minimized, and not judged. It is held with great tenderness by the same God who weeps with those who weep and walks beside the broken-hearted until they find peace again. Your loved one sees how far you've come, even when you feel like you're standing still. They see your quiet strength, your willingness to keep breathing, your hope that flickers even in the darkest hours. And they are proud. Not because you've forgotten, but because you've continued, because your heart, though cracked, still chooses to love, still finds the courage to feel, still makes room for kindness in a world that sometimes feels too heavy. Type 1414 to step into divine protection. There is no part of your journey that has gone unnoticed. God has walked with you in silence, sat beside you in your sorrow, and whispered comfort into the places no one else can reach. He has seen every tear, caught every sigh, and written every moment of pain into a story that does not end in loss, but in love that lasts forever. The love you shared is not over. It hasn't dissolved into nothingness. It is alive in heaven and alive in you. And even now, in your quiet days and still nights, that love speaks. It tells you to rest when you're weary. It reminds you to breathe when your chest feels tight with remembering. It nudges you gently toward hope when you're not sure you can take one more step. Healing does not ask you to forget. It only asks that you trust. Trust that the same God who created your heart is the one who is restoring it. Trust that your tears are not wasted, that your longing is not ignored, and that the one you lost is not truly lost at all, but simply waiting in a place where time no longer separates and where joy never fades. They begin to quiet now, not out of distance, but out of reverence. Because they know this is not about them, it's about you, and the one who is calling your name in the softest way, waiting not with disappointment, but with open arms. They want you to say yes again. Yes to hope. Yes to healing. Yes to the small, slow return of peace. They want you to begin again, not as someone trying to rebuild from nothing, but as someone already held, already known, already enough. They speak again, not because you are in danger, but because you are deeply loved, and they know how often you've questioned your place in the world. They've watched you wrestle with thoughts that felt too heavy to share, moments when your heart questioned if your presence really mattered, if your efforts were enough, if your story had worth. And now, from the stillness of heaven, they want to assure you with everything they are, your life is not just important, it is sacred. Type 1818 to claim miracles and breakthroughs. They say you are not walking aimlessly. Even when the path feels unclear, even when it seems like every direction is clouded with uncertainty, God is still guiding you, gently and patiently, with more care than you realize. You may not feel it every day, but the hands that shape the stars are shaping your journey too, step by step, with love that will not let you fall beyond grace. They want you to stop believing that you need to prove yourself to be worthy of love. You are already loved, just as you are, with your questions, your flaws, your weariness, and even your doubts. Heaven does not love you less for your struggles. And neither does God. The one who gave his life for you didn't do it because you were perfect. He did it because his love goes deeper than perfection. It goes into your broken places and says, even here, I choose you. That simple act of trust will do more than any preparation in your own strength ever could. It opens the door for peace to come where fear once lived. It allows joy to take root even in dry places. It welcomes the presence of God into the very center of your pain. And once He is there, you are no longer defenseless, no longer vulnerable to what life throws your way. You are covered. No matter what comes, it will never come without Him. No matter what falls apart, you will not fall apart with it. Because your soul, your future, your story, none of it rests in the hands of this world. It rests in the hands of the one who never loses what belongs to him. There is a kind of warning that carries weight, not because it threatens, but because it loves too much to stay silent. This is that kind of warning. The kind that comes when heaven sees what your eyes can't yet. The kind that rises from the heart of a father who refuses to leave his child unprotected. Not because he wants to scare you into obedience, but because he longs to wrap you in peace before the winds of grief begin to blow through your life. There may be something on its way, some form of pain, loss, confusion, or unexpected shift, and you may not see it coming. But God does. He sees it clearly. And in His mercy, He's reaching for you now, because the sooner your soul is anchored in Him, the less the storm will shake you. It may hurt. It may press. It may leave tears in its path. But it will not destroy you if you are standing with the one who overcame every sorrow the world has ever known. You do not need to understand everything to return to God. You do not need to feel strong. You don't need to feel worthy. You only need to be willing. Willing to lay down what has grown heavy. Willing to stop pretending you're okay when you're barely holding it together. Willing to believe that maybe, just maybe, Jesus still wants you just as you are, even with your mess, your fears, and your doubts. He does. Jesus never came for the polished. He came for the broken. For the burdened. For the souls who've been wandering, and for those too numb to cry anymore. He came for the ones who've grown tired of hoping, and the ones who aren't sure how to come back. His love isn't waiting for you to get it right. It's simply waiting for you to come.